Welcome to Roundup Reddit. Today's thread is spicy. Guys who have dated girls with a guy, best friend, sharing their wild experiences. Let's dive right in. Story 1. Almost all bad, but mine is an extreme example, I guess. My ex had a number of male friends through university and her sports clubs. I was cool with it at first, but once I found out how many of them were ex-boyfriends or former friends with benefits, I had to draw a line. I eventually saw her convos with a few of them. A handful of guys would text her every few weeks saying things like, haha, so you single yet? Once, after a night out, she told me one of her friends had asked her, when are we gonna bang? She laughed it all off as banter, told me I had to trust her, etc. Her best male friend ended up fucking her in a hotel room on a team night out. They talked a lot, had a little history, but she assured me they were just friends. She lied about it for 4 weeks, told me the night we moved in together. Story 2. She bantered with her gym husband all day, and there was nothing left when she got around to speaking to me. I was banned from witnessing physical contests because she didn't want me to watch her fail or succeed. He attended or participated. When I almost attended, she set a ground rule that I couldn't talk to her, and if I did, she would behave coldly and ignore me. I don't think she was attracted to him, but definitely enjoyed flirting, crude sex jokes, etc. Loved Snapchat and its auto-deleting text feature, too, conveniently enough. He was married. No idea how his wife felt. I actually liked the guy, but the relationship was definitely crossing a line. In fact, she kept exes as friends. Not uncommon to be friendly, but odd to keep them so close. Spoke to them on rotation. Girl was the brightest red flag I've ever seen. Insecure. Told me when she says no, she really meant yes, in every conceivable situation. Even when angry. Loved the attention from everyone but who she was dating. What a mess. No evidence I was ever cheated on, but when little changed months in, I knew the situation wasn't for me. By the way, this best friend, she met him only 3 months before me. Pretended like they were old friends and I was on the outside looking in. Bizarre. Good fucking luck to the next guy. Story 3. Here's a twist where the best friends end up together. My fiance always says at best we were best friends for 10 years. Kinda went through ins and outs, but recently got very close again about 3.5 years ago. She had a boyfriend at the time who was uncomfortable about it. We never did anything disrespectful to their relationship. Talked as best friends. Always respected that she was in a relationship. Gave her advice on gifts, or date ideas for them. They ended up breaking up shortly after we all hung out together. She said they had been on the rocks for some time. Not sure if that was the tipping point or if it was coming regardless, but we're currently engaged and have been dating for 2.5 years as of today. I think when you're younger, it's certainly possible, but at the end of the day, as you get older, if you connect with someone more than your boyfriend, it clearly becomes an issue. So yeah, she's my best friend, but it didn't work out well for her previous partner or mine. I was always comparing my partner to her unknowingly and always felt like I was missing something. I understand this isn't always the case, but it's my personal experience with my best friend and now fiancé. Story 4. A situation filled with lies and insecurities. The guy I was seeing had several female friends. I didn't think much of it at the time, until he started forgetting which lies he had told me and trickle-truthing the extent of their relationships. The first lie came out when he introduced me to his dad, and his dad asked if I was one of the girls he had talked so much about and called me by another woman's name. So yeah, his friendships didn't work out for me. But he did everything in some of the others' comments. He made me sound paranoid when I mentioned their friendships seemed a bit suspect, that I was seeing things that weren't there, but things never felt right about the whole situation. They were tagging him in all their posts, sending him messages about missing him, extremely flirtatious, arranging meetups, etc. One friend was getting married, confessed her undying feelings for him, and then was trying to arrange a meetup with him before her marriage. But he assured me it was just nothing, and they were just close friends. I really wasn't a fan of the "I wish I kissed you under the sunset" messages. Story 5. Dating girls with male best friends often ends badly. The outcome of dating girls in these situations is typically bad. The best friend is often an ex-boyfriend, BF on a break, or soon-to-be boyfriend. Either that or he's friend-zoned and the woman is using him for attention and approval. I've dated girls in each of these scenarios, at least once. The only time I've had this turn out well was with my current partner, whom I plan on marrying a little further down the road. In her case, her ex was still her best friend. As she and I got closer, I started getting uncomfortable with the thought of her being in best friend's contact with her ex once we got serious. She told her ex she was in a new serious relationship. Her ex wished her the best, but told her their friendship had to end, and they basically dropped contact. She was sad a bit, but understood and moved on. It's been more than a year since that happened, and it never comes up. I think if either of us found out the other was back in contact with our exes, or if either of us got to be best friends with a member of the opposite sex, that'd be a warning sign. Luckily, both of us are honest enough with one another and ourselves to admit as much. It's cool to have friends of the opposite sex, and sometimes a best friend can really be just that. However, that's the exception to the rule. Most of the time, from experience, I'd say 9 times out of 10, the best friend has some sort of romantic history, is currently romantically involved, or is angling to be romantically involved in the future, and the other person knows it. As an adult, I've found it's wise to be mindful when spending time alone with friends of the opposite sex. Story 6. Trust issues can arise from these situations. From my personal experience, I don't think I could be in a relationship like this without having reservations and constant doubts. Realistically speaking, not to sound dramatic, it's interesting, I really don't think I had trust issues initially. In my first relationship, I never doubted her. Everything was smooth sailing. 4 months in, she's cheating on me with her best friend. In 3 following relationships, cheating happened within 5 months, and all of them occurred with their good guy friends. I was pretty fucked up with trust issues, but let my ex have a male best friend. They went to the mall together, etc. Turns out they're together now, after we broke up due to me not putting out after an argument. I think in general, one person wants more out of that friendship and stays for that reason. And the opposite end of the friendship is usually not being honest with themselves and their feelings, wants, staying in their current relationship because it's normal while dipping into this attention reserve. Thankfully, I've landed myself with a beautiful woman that more or less has the same views on this subject as myself. We've both been burned. We really feel like it's not respectful and crosses boundaries. These boundaries set by us, of course. Edit. Genuinely, the worst part of being cheated on for me is the barrage of lies and manipulation regarding your insecurities when something is actually happening. It's been many years, but I remember that being the most messed up part of it all coming from someone whom you're trying to have a relationship with. In my experience, these lies always revolved around her guy friend. Story 7. A female perspective on stepping back for a friend's relationship. Well, I am the female best friend of a guy in a relationship. We became friends around the age of 16, now 22. And since then, we have just been constantly trying to annoy each other, and that's about it. We talk, debate, smoke up, get drunk, share stuff, but we know where to draw the line. He was in a relationship with a girl. She didn't like our equation, so naturally, I backed away. I always found her to be a little childish, egoistic, and dramatic, which I can't stand, so I just decided to steer away from her. My best friend also hates the whole unnecessary explanation of things, so we mutually decided that we will just tone down our friendship and just meet at mutual friends' parties and all. He wanted to give his girlfriend a fair chance, and I was more than willing to do anything for that. We didn't talk for more than 8 months, not even a single text, because I was adamant to not ruin their relationship or whatever, but turns out she still was not okay with our friendship, or the lack of it, because I was hotter than her, and she doesn't like people who look prettier than her. She wanted to be the most beautiful girl in his life, so she left. Insecure, ego-driven people with low self-respect will never like your friends for the most shallow reasons, so it's extremely important to choose your partner wisely and not abandon the friendships you've built over the years for a relationship that is 2 months old. Not saying friends are more important than your partner, but being wiser never harms you. Story 8. A rare scenario where a guy best friend and a partner both understand boundaries. This is me. I am the male best friend to one girl. Mostly what is important is to evaluate the actual dynamic between the two people. My friend and I have no romantic feelings for each other, honestly. This isn't a situation where one is secretly in love with the other and they are just best friends like that, which is stupid and what most intergender best friend relationships are actually like. This is a girl I've grown up with, whose sisters are my friends, who has been there for me regardless of what anyone's gender is in some of the most difficult times of my life. And I hope she feels the same way about me. The problem is that most people can't wrap their heads around this kind of dynamic, and their self-esteem is not nearly high enough to not feel threatened by it. I've been married. My ex-wife wasn't that happy with it. Getting married again soon, my current fiancé is fine with it as she knows that my romantic priorities are with her and her only. My friend is married now. A lot of her exes were not okay with our friendship, not because I was around a lot. I wasn't. But just because their fragile egos couldn't handle that, there was someone else she could confide in who was a man. Her husband now is secure enough to see that it's not an issue, and rather that I may have saved their relationship more than a few times by explaining his point of view in a way she could understand better. As she has gotten a few years into her marriage, it does feel like she has gotten more comfortable going to her husband about things she previously might not have, which is great. This may mean we'll eventually drift further and focus more on our own families, but I don't consider that to be affecting our friendship status in any way. It's just the course of life. A best friend always does whatever they can to help the other friend's relationship. Sometimes that means taking a back seat, and of course that's fine too. Friends are friends and nothing should change that. Just would like to point out that both her husband and my fiancé are top-notch people, thoroughly impressive from top to bottom. I don't think it's a coincidence that these types of well-adjusted, high-quality people are the ones who ended up being more understanding about our friendship. Story 9. When a best friend's feelings come out of nowhere. I'm a woman, and I had a guy best friend. We grew up together, known him since I was 2 years old. We were like brother and sister, always squabbling and bickering, but deeply attached to each other under all of that. Went through all the ups and downs of life together, and I genuinely thought we'd be friends forever. He got a girlfriend at some point in our early early 20s. I'd just gotten out of a dreadful relationship and was living and loving the single life. His girlfriend hated me, so I did the respectful best buddy thing and backed off a bit. I got into a relationship shortly after, and she chilled out on me being around, which was good because I missed my best friend and actually got on pretty well with her. We all went out for a double date, and naive little me thought it was great and cute, and we'd all be happy families. He got drunk, pulled me to one side, and tearfully confessed he was in love with me, loud enough for both his girlfriend and my then boyfriend to hear. So you can imagine how that went. It was a lesson to me as I genuinely saw him as a third brother. It made me feel gross that he felt that way. Hilariously, I'm still really close with his now ex-girlfriend. We started hanging out about a year after this debacle, when I distanced myself to almost no contact with him because I could never reciprocate. Turns out she and I have a lot in common, and we ended up friends. My current best friend is a guy, but he's also my boyfriend, so I think that's okay. Closing. That's a wrap on today's Roundup Reddit. Relationships can get complicated, especially with opposite-sex best friends. What do you think? Can it work out, or are the risks too high? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories. Leave your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more.